Hi, welcome to today's webinar, Self-Start Your Remote World with Mitel, presented by Mitel. My name is Jessica, and I will be your moderator today. We are broadcasting this webinar through Cisco WebEx events, and the audio can be heard through your PC or by calling into the phone number listed and with the access code provided in your confirmation email or calendar invite for this event. Today's webinar is being recorded on behalf of DataVox, and participation in this event indicates your consent to being included in that recording. All attendees will receive an email with a link to the completed recording 24 to 48 hours post-event. If you have questions for the presenters at any time during this presentation, you may submit those questions via the Q&A feature to the bottom right of your screen. This should already be turned on. Simply click Q&A and the text box will appear. Our panel will be responding to these questions throughout the presentation via text and verbally at the conclusion of the presentation. If you are in need of support or have a question not pertaining to today's topic, please utilize the chat feature and I will be happy to assist you. This feature is separate from the Q&A feature and can be turned on by clicking the chat bubble in the lower center of your screen. Now that we have reviewed the features of this webinar, we would like to start off today's presentation with a few words from our VP of Managed Services, David Wilson. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Jessica. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And you know, one thing that a lot of people are learning from this whole pandemic situation is that their old on-premise phone system is really just not cutting it anymore. Forwarding calls to cell phones, you know, might be okay for a few days, but it gets old very quickly. Customers are complaining they get busy signals when the lines are taken up with calls being forwarded. There's also really not a great, easy solution for remote workers with a lot of the on-premise solutions nowadays. So I'm very pleased today to have Kristin, Mike, Robert, and Scott from Mitel here today, one of our main cloud voice partners, to show us how and tell us how Mitel can help, as well as give us a full demo on the product and let us know how they can help us move to the cloud quickly. So with that, I'm going to hand over to you, Kristin, to take it from here. Thanks, Kristin.
Thank you very much, David. My name is Kristin Vick. I'm the Channel Account Manager located here in Houston with Mitel. First and foremost, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Obviously, life has taken a direction that none of us could have ever imagined, and so many of us are left scrambling to transition from the work from the office to the work from home, and now back to the office, hopefully, potentially, and we don't know what the future holds. So we here at Mitel have the resources, the products to help you create that hybrid approach to be able to transition back and forth for your staff. Michael, you can go to the next slide for me, please. So really what we want is make it easier for you, easy to use, easy to manage, enhance your capabilities within your workforce, and to bundle it to fit your needs. Go ahead, Mike. One of the most exciting things that I think we've rolled out a long time, this just came about and it was pre-COVID, but it's very new and it fits what customers need right now. And it's the Self-Start program where you can be up and running in a day. Granted, it's not going to be everything. It's not going to be your ported numbers. It's not going to be your custom workflow, or call flows, excuse me, and so on and so forth. But what it will do is it will get your staff to be able to work from anywhere on a soft phone client or a mobile client within a day, and you can easily remote call forward your current numbers to the temporary numbers given so that your customers are able to continue and your business is able to continue for that need. In the future, and you can always go back for those customizations to get it to be up and running the way that you want it to, but this is a quick fix for you for the ability of immediate business continuity. Go ahead, Mike. So on today's call, we're going to give you a demo on our core product, which is MyCloud Connect, and we're going to really focus on our application, our soft phone application, as well as our mobile client. Go ahead, Mike. So we're really going to show you how we go with a mobile-first approach to enable your staff to transition from the office, to the remote office, and then back again seamlessly across all their devices. Go ahead. We are going to go over all of our plans and what they include for you guys and provide that all for you, and how you can mix and match all of the plans that we have to fit what works best for you. Go ahead. While we are not going to focus too much today on the actual hardware, we can't leave that out because Mitel, it's one of the greatest things about Mitel is our actual phones. We manufacture them ourselves, but there's some really good features about them. And, you know, obviously this call is about the remote workforce, the clients, the soft phones, but some people just like to always have the hardware as well. So, and we have great promotions where we give these away for free. And in addition to that, we will talk about the wireless adapter. So people that really want that hardware, that phone to actually use on their desk, they can use it from anywhere. They don't have to just rely on the soft phone or the client. Go ahead, Mike. So in a second, I'm going to hand it over to Michael Hamlin, who is our sales engineer. He's going to be discussing our IP phones, our soft phone client, our mobility, and he's going to touch on contact center agents as well. Although some of you may sit there and not think that you have a contact center, one of the things we've really been hearing during all of this going on is, you know, how can the customer support people function in the way that they need to. And with contact center features and functionality that we offer, we're going to touch on that a little bit. And just for a side note, we will be raffling off at the end of the call for anybody who has participated in the call today, a $100 Amazon gift card that DataVox will be letting you know who the winner of was it. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Michael Hamlin, and he will take it from here.
Hey, thanks, Kristin. So I was trying to anticipate your at the end of each slide, so you wouldn't have to tell me, but obviously I didn't do a great job at that. So
it's okay. Thanks.
So I did want to step back one slide to the IP phones. And so what you saw, bullet points, were kind of the points that I want to touch today. You know, we don't know what we're going to be stepping into the next couple of months. We do know for sure that the workplace has changed. So whether that's, you know, people realizing, you know what, I like working at home in my pajamas, or maybe that's, you know, workplaces realizing, you know what, I can send my employees home, or panic, you know, I don't have the ability to do that. As we found out, our phone system doesn't allow it. We don't have the communications to do that. It has changed. And so that's one thing that we can't deny. Things have changed. So the nice part about the Mitel solution is it's flexible. This is something that we've been doing for a couple of years. I can work from home. I can work from the office. The experience is the same. And so even if you're a hard phone guy, like if you're the guy that, you know, likes to hold the handset up to your ear, you like the buttons to press, we can do that. So I want to start with our IP phones to say that, first of all, we have some of the best looking phones in the industry. That's, you know, without question. But these awesome sets, when you take them, whether you take them home and plug them in, or you take them into your business and you plug them in, if you choose to carry them, or, you know, hey, I'm sure Kristin wouldn't argue if you want to buy 2 phones for every employee, send one home and keep one at the office. They are set up to automatically communicate with our cloud-based system, and so they will boot up with that end user's extension regardless of whether it's at home or at the office. There's no configuring involved moving between the two. They're already set up to do that. The other thing that happens when these phones connect is they do so with security enabled across the voice as well as the call control, which means any button that they press, that is all secured. It basically forms a VPN tunnel from the phone all the way through to our back end, as well as the voice. So this is something that we do straight from the factory when we build these phones. We can do that because we are the manufacturer. One thing I do want to highlight in this right before we move off is this little wireless LAN adapter before we move on. So if you do send those employees home, a lot of times they'll take their phone home, they'll, put it in their home office, which is upstairs, and realize, oh no, my cable modem or my DSL modem, whatever it is downstairs in a closet somewhere. How do I, do I string a cable across? Do I call a cable guy to come and wire it? Well, we do have these wireless LAN adapters, and they provide power to the phone. They do connect over Wi-Fi to that cable router or whatever your ISP is providing you over Wi-Fi. So just another, neat tool that we provide with some accessories on these phones to be able to enable your remote workers. And then we're going to cover soft phone. I'll take you through mobility, and then I'm going to show you how you can do some web-based contact center agents. So with that, I know you're all, biting at the bit here for me to get out of PowerPoint. I am too, believe me, I'm not a PowerPoint guy. So what I'm going to show you, the top left, is our Connect client. And when I say Connect client, this is call control for my desk phone, because I am in desk phone mode right now. So if I choose to, and I click contacts here, anybody that I choose out of my contacts list, there's Scott Yule, who's on the call. If I chose to, everybody copy Scott Yule's number, I can click here and I can call Scott Yule. Now, I'm in desk phone mode, which means that my desk phone, I'm wearing a headset, my desk phone will go off hook, that audio will come through my headset. So it's kind of a shame that I have this nice, beautiful Mitel phone sitting here and I hardly ever touch the thing, because I'm doing everything through this Connect client. As well as I can see presence, I can provide other people my presence. It says I'm in a meeting. That was this meeting. And oh, by the way, I'm not, Mr. Smart Guy that remembers to go and set myself to in a meeting. Basically, this is done off of my Outlook calendar. So based on my Outlook calendar, this client looks in and says, oh, Michael Hamlin's going to be in a meeting with DataVox, and puts me in a meeting. So not only does it let my colleagues know, hey, you might not get Michael Hamlin, you might have to IM him, which is available right here in the contacts. But it also changes how I have my calls routed. So maybe when I'm in a meeting, I want that call to go directly to voicemail. Or maybe I say when I'm in a meeting, it means I've stepped out of the office and I still want that call routed to my cell phone, and then I have the opportunity to, either decline that call or look at the call and decide that I want to take it. It's really up to the end user. We allow them to use this however they want. Now, we're talking about in the office maybe where they have their hard phone, and that's all well and good. But what else can this do? I can switch this to soft phone. The nice thing about it is nothing changes. So everything that was true for when I was controlling my hard phone, the same exact thing is true for when I have this in soft phone mode. The only difference is now instead of my hard phone coming off hook, instead of dialing through my hard phone, everything's happening on my laptop that I've chosen to take home or, have wherever I am. It might be in a coffee shop or whatever. I frequently use this in a coffee shop. We even have a third option here where I can assign this to an external assignment. Maybe you're like me and you grew up in the middle of Texas where, I don't have great cell phone coverage. They really don't have very good Wi-Fi. I go stay at grandma's. I can assign this to external assignment number, who still has a landline, by the way. So I can do that if I want to. And when I choose external assignment number, put in that number, anytime somebody rings my extension or calls my work DID, that goes to me at grandma's house. So this is just a quick, there's many things here I could show you here in this client, but I want to respect your time today, so let's move along. The other component is maybe you want to send the workers home or work from anywhere, but maybe I have a Chromebook. Maybe I don't want to, have to give out a laptop or have them use their laptop. So what I've done here is I've just pulled up Yellow Pages and I've searched takeout in Austin. There's a couple of things that can happen here. I can click here, any dialable number. So this is just a regular web page, right? And any number that it finds, if it's formatted like a phone number, and we support several different formats, I can click here and it says call via Mitel. So if I want to order from Terra Burger here, I would just click here. Lunch is important, right, guys? I mean, we got to keep yourself fed here. So I can click here to dial, and that will dial through my Mitel work number, should I want to. And the reason why that is because I have this little plugin. So this is without a client at all installed. This is simply through my browser. This could be done through a Chromebook or a mobile device here. I can listen to my voicemails. I can, look at my missed calls or past calls. I can also search my contacts here. And again, notice I still have presence. So Scott Yule is still in that meeting. So this is, again, clientless. Nothing has to be installed except for a Chrome extension, which is freely available on the Chrome App Store. So, and it is all tied in. Notice it still reads my calendar. I'm still in a meeting. And if I choose to call somebody here, I can either, type their name, and as I start typing a name, it narrows down. So all my contacts are still listed here, and I haven't installed anything other than just using this Chrome extension. So a lot of flexibility here with the solution. So speaking of flexibility, Kristin mentioned it. I'm going to minimize this. Let's look at our mobile client. So what I'm doing is I'm just sharing my Android phone on the screen here. Notice that I'm in a meeting. I'm going to pull back up my desktop client real quick and collapse this panel. Also in a meeting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from in a meeting. Now this was set by my calendar. I do have the ability to freely go and override this and change that. I go and set this, to available. It immediately, if you notice, is in my desktop. It changes that to available. So these things are tied together. So you essentially can work away from the office. Maybe you don't want to take your laptop. Maybe you're sitting in that coffee shop. Maybe you're out on a customer site. You can work from the office like you're at the office from this device. This works on Android and iOS. Notice that I have an upcoming meeting. It is picked up that, hey, this is a web meeting. You have a web share in this meeting. It gives me one-touch capability right here in my event feed that says at 3:30, this little icon is going to become active. Actually, it's 5 minutes before. I'll be able to click that, and it will dial me into that meeting. It'll dial in this long access code and put in the number for me. So really, all I have to do if I'm, on the road and I'm a road warrior, I can just click that one-touch access, and there I am in my meeting, which makes it really nice here. Again, I go to contacts, and look, there's everybody. Scott Yule still in a meeting. He still is in a meeting. So I still have this capability, even though I am just working from a smart device. In fact, my colleagues, if I choose to IM them or call them, they rarely know if I'm in the office, if I'm sitting on a beach in Rockport, fishing, and that's a dig to Scott because that's probably where he's at still. And I have all of these capabilities right from my mobile device. So feature parity across mobile, across your desktop, even from a browser. So we have feature parity across all of those devices and the capability for you to be able to act just like you were in the office with all of these. I do want to focus on another component that really has, it's been a struggle for the industry. If I have a small group of maybe agents, a small contact center, it could be a support queue, could be a sales queue. Look, maybe if I have one that I don't even know as a contact center, we've talked to a lot of customers where they say, we really have a need for our internal IT staff to be able to answer calls and understand how long it's taking us to answer these calls. Are we, putting people on hold too long? Are we resolving tickets within the amount of time that we think? This is a situation where they didn't realize they had a contact center, but really that's what that is. The ability to queue calls that are coming in, the ability to track those calls and understand if those calls are getting answered and how they're reacting to those calls. So that isn't a case of somebody having a contact center and not realizing that they have a contact center. The nice thing about this application is if you notice, I've just pulled up a web browser. This is my Chrome browser. This is everything that your contact center agent needs to be able to answer incoming calls, answer even chats from a website, or answer emails. They can do all three of those things with this application. And because it's web-based, they could be sitting within the office. They could be sitting at home. Again, they could be, even once this ends, if we all go back to work and everybody decides, you know what, I don't like wearing my pajamas all day, I want to wake up, go to the office, what happens when a kid gets sick or something of that nature and they need to stay home for the day? Going forward, it's going to be a standard that people understand that they're able to work from home if needed, and you don't have to lose productivity just because that employee needs to stay home to handle something for the day. So I just want to point out a few things here on this interface. Notice that I am not ready to take a call. These are ready states that are customizable. So the idea is here that you have these people come in. If they start their work they're supposed to start taking calls at 8 a.m., they log in and they either make themselves ready, so they're ready to take calls, or they select one of these not ready states. Now, these are customizable based on your needs, what you have in here. At Mitel, we have, this is obviously a demo system, guys, so we have a couple of knuckleheads that put in TPS reports, for those of you that know what that is, napping returns. So these are things that could be related to your business, reasons why maybe an agent might be busy and not able to answer a call, valid reasons, right? So they might be on break, so they can switch themselves to break, and it shows how long I've been in that status. Now, on the back end, there is a nice interface for the supervisor to look at these real-time stats and see Michael Hamlin's been on break for 11 seconds. That's acceptable. If once it gets past 15 minutes, we can throw up a different color and say, Michael Hamlin's been on break for 16 minutes. So change that color and let that supervisor know, hey, where is he? Maybe we should go check on him. So we can put ourselves in status to be able to take calls. We can also put ourselves in different queues, right? What about the smaller company that may have people answering for sales and support? I can put myself in both of those queues and answer both of those calls. When a call comes in, I will be indicated whether that person called in the sales queue or the support queue. So I know how to answer that call when that call comes in. I will see it on the screen and know how to answer the call, and I can answer it appropriately. I can log myself in or out of any of these queues as needed. So I can be a very flexible agent for my employer, especially if I'm a quality agent that does a good job. I probably want to be, that company probably wants to utilize my skills as much as possible. So they'll spread me across multiple queues here. And let's look and see if we have any other agents online. So this is more of a supervisor may have access to do this. If I'm a supervisor and I get access to click here on agents, as only a supervisor would, I can see that Frank is in a call right here. And if I click on this call, I have the capability to silent monitor Frank, which means I can listen in to see what's happening. Frank's kind of, he's kind of a wildcat. Sometimes he says stuff, goes off script. We may need to listen to that. He still needs a little bit of training, a little bit of coaching. We can silent monitor him. So if I did that, I would all of a sudden get Frank's audio call in my headset. I could listen to that. I would also get two more options. I'd have the option to whisper coach Frank. So again, remember, I might be at my home, Frank might be at his home, doesn't matter, right? We have that capability, or you might be in cubes across from each other right in the office. So I have the ability to silent monitor. I can whisper coach, which means I'm talking to Frank, but the outside party can't hear, so I'm giving him pointers, maybe telling him what to say, what not to say. And thirdly, if the call is just I find a need to barge in, I can barge in and as the supervisor make myself part of that call and start taking a little bit of ownership of that call if Frank is struggling. So all of that, again, regardless of location, we have the capabilities to do that. So that has been a quick run through of our contact center, and hopefully you can see how that provides you the ability to, again, it's all web-based. I don't need to be in a specific location to be able to do this, as well as, I'm going to go back to our clients here. Our clients give you lots of capabilities, lots of presence information. This is something that, some of us do normally. This is normal procedure. So when they said, Michael, you're going to have to go home and be quarantined for, an indefinite amount of time, I was already working from home, and I already had the capability to, see if Kristin's on the phone and see if she's in a meeting, or see if Scott Yule's in a meeting, and be able to click on them and IM them and collaborate with them on a daily basis. So with that, I think we've been about 30 minutes. Maybe we can open it up for questions.
Yeah, Mike, I've got a few questions coming in. I was going to ask what TPS reports are, but Brandon reminded me it was from Office Space, right?
Yeah, you have to be on a very, you have to be in the know on TPS reports.
Question here is, I know you talked a bit about MyConnect. Is that different from MyCollab?
It is, yeah. It is a different, it's a different application from MyCollab. MyCollab does have a lot of the same features and functionalities, though. So it just has a different look and feel. There are a few differences, but it is a totally different client from MyCollab client.
Okay. And what about an integration with Teams?
So that's an interesting industry question right now. We do have a deep integration with Microsoft Office 365, which means like in Outlook, I can click on contacts. Teams has not fully opened up APIs for call control, which we had with Skype for Business. They had opened up APIs, and we could, build in a call control directly. So what you'll see industry-wide is Teams has not opened up that API. They have opened up a chatbot API, which means if I'm in Teams chat, I can do @ whatever and type a name and be able to click there and say call with Mitel or call with whatever my other provider is. So a lot of the industry providers are implementing that chat API, but as far as the deep integration like we have with Skype for Business, nobody in the industry has that yet because they haven't opened up those APIs. But we do have a lot of cross functionality that I could definitely show you, if you guys are interested in that.
Sounds good. You mentioned your contact center product. Can I use your contact center solution without changing my phone system? So just as a standalone.
So we can. We do have what we call CX, and that is our over-the-top contact center, and we absolutely can. So just like other over-the-top providers, it's very slick. Stuff like call analytics and the ability to gauge the sentiment of a customer. All of those things we can provide over the top. The interface I showed you is a low cost per entry, and it's also a very flexible interface. That actually sits on top of this Connect client. So that would be an agent that had this Connect client and had that interface over the top of it. But we do have that over-the-top solution that works across any platform called CX.
Okay, one thing you didn't show, maybe you can show us quickly, Mike, is maybe some of the meeting capabilities you have.
Absolutely, yes. Love to show some meeting capabilities.
A couple of questions on that.
Okay, so in events, I think I showed you guys, this can read my calendar, and I do have the capability to click here, and it's one-touch dial in. I just want to go ahead and create a quick event, right? So I'll set it for 3. I'm going to say demo. I can set organizers here. So I am the organizer. I'll go ahead and make Kristin a presenter. And what's nice about this, I can set an agenda, right? How many times do you show up and you don't know what you're in the meeting for or what the meeting's about? Happens to me. I'm sure it's an industry problem, right? Can't just be me. I'm going to put Q&A here at the end. So we're just going to make this a quick 30-minute meeting. And so once I get this entered, I don't have to enter these things, right? I like to do it because what you'll see is when I click create, this creates a really, really nice template that we put into Outlook. And this works for, we have an Outlook integration. We also have a G Suite integration, so you can use those for both. So this creates a template and opens in my Outlook, which I closed because I wanted to, there we go. So all of the people that I put in, if I would have put in more email addresses, they would be here. And notice it sends this out as a calendar invite. So I do have the click here to join. So that's nice for people that, aren't internal to the company and don't have the application, the one-touch access. They have this nice click here to join. Even if they're on a mobile device, they get this nice dial in. This becomes a link on your iOS device and the ability to dial in and join this meeting. So lots of meeting capabilities. And what I'd like to say about it is, remember, if you can remember back to the slide, all of these meeting capabilities are, I think I can pull it up here, all of these meeting capabilities are built in for each and every user, right? So we provide all of these web conferencing features, even for the lowest license bundle. So audio, video, web conferencing built in.
Looks good, Mike. Kind of leads the next question Jeff had was, what about Zoom integration and video conference rooms?
Yeah, so Zoom integration, let me open our client here. So I have, what I didn't show you before, wanted to, make sure we had enough time here, is this panel in our client, which is our direct messages. And so we can direct message each other, our IM client. We can also SMS, business SMS each other. So I can, you give me your cell phone number, I can text you on this, and it shows my work ID, right? So I don't have to share my personal cell phone ID now to SMS back and forth. But the other thing that this client does, if I want to start a conference here, I can use the native Mitel one, which I kind of already showed you the interface, how you would set it up and start one. I can just jump into a conference right here. Everybody in this group, because I'm starting this from my group, will be notified, hey, Michael Hamlin's starting a conference within the Texas UCAS group. Click here to join, and they'll get a click here, whether they're on their mobile or their laptop or whatever device they're on. But if you notice here, there's also a Zoom integration. So if you've already invested in Zoom, and a lot of people have, if you already invested in Zoom, if you have a Zoom room, that sort of thing, you don't have to use the Mitel native one. You can certainly click here, and this Zoom meeting link will be created to be able to send out to folks. We also integrate Blue Jeans, and more is coming. So Zoom and Blue Jeans right now, more coming.
That's great. Thanks, Mike. Another question here. Can we use our cell phone number as our Mitel DID, or is it coming in the near future?
So you can use, unless you ported that number, like unless we had control of that number, you wouldn't be able to do that. However, you can port in an existing number, any existing number, and when that number comes in, I'm going to click here on routing just to show you guys. So whatever that number is, if I click on call routing, it's up to me, the end user, to be able to decide where I want that call to go. So I have a DID, and I have it set up to when calls come in to not only ring my desk phone, but to also ring my cell phone. So essentially, what we're trying to do is get away from using, your cell phone. Think about car dealerships love this. The salesperson gives out their cell phone. That's great, but when that salesperson moves from Chevy to Dodge down the street and starts selling Dodges, his clientele go with him. So the idea here is you give them your office number that's owned by that Chevy dealership, and then we just have it route to that agent's cell phone number because we know he's not going to be sitting in the office. He's hopefully walking around the lot. We have it route to him. Then if he moves, we still own that DID number, and we can route it to the next available sales guy. Okay, hopefully that answers that question.
I think so. Thanks, Mike. Another question. What is the Mitel uptime?
So 4.9, yeah, we have an SLA of 4 nines uptime, and so we actually, if it's there's stipulations in there that we actually pay out, back on your credit back on your account if should something happen and you not get that 4 nines.
Okay, we got some good questions coming in here. So. Can I add or remove users at any time?
You can. So you do have a, you would contract at a certain amount, and we can allow a clause for a certain percentage of downturn. And so you can add, of course, you can add at the whatever your rate is. So if you're paying, you know, X number of dollars for essentials, if you need to add 3 more next week, then you just go on the web profile here. This is our admin interface. And you just go to phone system and go to users, and you'd have the capability to add a user right here. And actually, if you step through this add user, it gives you the capability to select their phone, select their profile type, whether they're Essentials, Premier, or Elite. It'll tell you actually how it's going to change your bill, and it'll also tell you who within your company that it's going to notify, because we notify specific people set up on your account that these changes have been made and that the bill is going to, you know, either increase or decrease, such as the case may be. I would like to say one other thing where we're pretty unique as well. If you go in and you came to me and you said, Michael, you know, today I want 200 Elite. We want them to have, you know, everything, CRM integration, voicemail transcription, 200 Elite. In 3 months from now, if you say, you know what, really we found out, we looked at reporting, we found out really only half of our people are using some of those Elite features, we'd really like to step 100 of those down to Essentials. There is no penalty to step them down to Essentials to essentially remove those capabilities from those users. You will start getting billed at that lower rate from that point forward, and there's no penalty to do so. That's pretty unique to this Mitel solution.
That's great. We have obviously a couple of technical people in our audience today. What regions are your cloud servers in? And what if we lose part of the US East Coast versus West Coast? Speak a little bit about the back end.
Yeah, let me pull up. Luckily, I had this slide prepared for you technical people. So if you'll notice, we do have, so on the right-hand side is the Mitel network. On the left-hand side would be our customers. So coming across the internet, and we do have actually point-to-point privatized circuitry. If you wish for that, we can either put your router in our POP, or we can extend our router onto your location. We do have a DFW POP, and then we have a Chicago POP. And that is basically just to bring those circuits in, to bring ingress and egress traffic. Everything else is within our Google data center. So because we built on Google, some of our applications that work well with AWS are in AWS. You know, now if you understand how Google Network's set up across, you know, across different regions and across various slips of information, we are within the Google Cloud. So if they have a major outage on the central region, obviously our stuff would just move to the East Coast. So Google and Amazon provide us a lot of flexibility when it comes to being able to move that around and be resilient.
That's great.
Any other questions you see?
Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
I couldn't unmute for a second there. Sorry. Just a couple of last questions, and we'll let everybody go. What is the contract length?
So I think, Kristin, if you're on, I can probably answer, but.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry about that, I was on mute. Yeah, typical contract length is 36 months. That's our standard contract. That's the contract that you will get the discounts. We also do 1-year terms, but they're not discountable at all. There's really no promotions that are tied to the 1 year either. So 3-year term is our standard contract length.
And we can go longer or shorter.
I might be coming towards some questions there. Somebody was asking about screen sharing. Would you guys, I don't know if you can show that real quick or.
Yeah, I haven't screen shared on a screen share, so that might be interesting. But I can, if let's pick on Scott Yule here. So if I
I guess
click
the
on Scott Yule, here's
specific question, Mike, was how many people you can have on a screen share.
oh, okay, good. Yeah, good question. So I can easily pop up, like if I'm talking to Scott Yule about a specific situation, he's like, I need to see what cell you are on Excel. I can easily go and screen share, right, just with an individual. However, if I'm doing one-to-many like we're doing today, that capability depends on which of these profiles that you have. So if you look, Elite, when we say web conference, that also includes screen share. So if you have an Essentials, you can screen share with four people in a conference. If you have Premier, that's 25. And if you have Elite, that's 100. And again, these are per user. These are not shared ports. So if I had an Elite profile and Scott had an Elite profile, he could have a 100-party conference at the same time I could have a 100-party conference and be sharing his screen. So
That's great. Well, I think that's it. There's a couple more questions, but I think they're Office Space references, so I'm scared to talk them out loud, so in case. But thanks, Michael. That was great. Appreciate your time and showing us that. Definitely, we deal with a lot of cloud providers, but I think Mitel is by far the easiest to use from a user point of view. It's a great client and mobile app. So appreciate your time, and I will hand back to Jessica.
Thank you so much, David, and thank you all for joining today's webinar. As a reminder, the recording link for today's session will be emailed to all attendees 24 to 48 hours post-event. If you did enjoy today's session and would like to hear more, we do offer new webinars weekly. Please check our DataVox website for more information on upcoming sessions. And as always, we would love to hear your feedback on our events. Once this webinar has ended, you will be redirected to a survey page. If you could please take a moment to complete this survey before closing out your browser, we would greatly appreciate it. That concludes our session for today. Thank you again to Kristin and Mike for a great presentation, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.